The second chapter of Ultrakill is finally here, and here I am, as fashionably late to the party as I will ever be. I promise I have good reasons why that I'll elaborate on later. Everything that's introduced in Act 1 has been expanded upon, and the new twists and mechanics added in Act 2 make Ultrakill feel fresher than ever. It is my absolute pleasure to talk about why Ultrakill Act 2 is such a perfect continuation. But first, I need to tie some loose ends. I left the Act 1 video deliberately open-ended, which is something I likewise intend to do here for the record, so I could sell people on the game without spoiling everything about it. And I managed to succeed far beyond my expectations. Ultrakill is one of the biggest reasons why this YouTube channel is in the position it's in right now. Since several updates have passed in the 2 years since the review has been uploaded, I think it's only fair to cover the things about Act 1 that I ended up omitting, or even straight up missing. So with that in mind, let's wrap up Act 1 real quick. Lots of stuff has been added and changed to the base game. There's been graphical updates and model revamps to match the game's current art direction. The blue soul orbs now have a proper reward in the new unlockable weapon skins. The nail gun got reworked a little bit. There's various additions and changes to weapon and enemy balance. And there's a bevy of new options, difficulty modes, and accessibility tools to make Ultrakill even more open to those who are inexperienced with action games. Also, remember when I said this in the Act 1 video? Admittedly, I would like to see a training mode where you can spawn certain enemies and see what makes them tick, but I won't bitch and moan if that's not in the cards. Well, video games, bro. If you get P ranks on every stage in an act, which means meeting S rank requirements without dying or restarting from a checkpoint, you can unlock a new type of bonus level. Past these doors hidden somewhere in the final layer of each act are entrances to the prime levels. As for what they include, well, you ever heard of... I think it's time to discuss the gay angel in the room. The Gangel, if you will. The reason why I neglected to mention him is because I think his reveal in Ultrakill is where the game really starts to show its hand. It claims that the Mouth of Hell is the prologue, but I could argue that the entirety of Act 1 up until the fight with Gabriel could be added to it. Throughout the entire game, you're constantly being drip-fed new mechanics, new weapons, new enemies and obstacles. Swords Machine and V2 put you on equal ground with machines that can keep up with your agility. The Corpse of King Minos forces you to maintain spatial awareness in a slightly cramped arena, and the final gauntlet in 3-1 is a major test of your cannon fodder killing abilities up to that point. Let's breeze through this. You meet your actual rival in the literal heart of Gluttony. You could tell Gabriel is your rival character, not V2, because he can use spiral swords and he throws a spear at you that can be parried back at him. He's no pushover. There's reasons why he's equal parts praised and feared in both heaven and hell. Counterpoint. After shoving Gabby in the proverbial locker, it's revealed that God is missing and has been replaced with a council of high-ranking angels that act as a totalitarian regime tasked with monitoring hell and keeping order in heaven. Gabriel is one of, if not the strongest archangel in heaven, yet here he is, wailing over a walking Fresnel lamp giving him the ass-beating of a lifetime. The council, in a very normal and totally not deranged move, decides to tear the divine light from his body that gives him his strength, and give him 24 hours to kill V1 or face erasure. This is the turning point of the game. Cool, you went toe-to-toe with an archangel and won. Now heaven is on your ass and hell is literally starting to crumble in your wake. But you're still not satisfied, are you? No, of course not. Then let's flip the record and talk about the good stuff already. Greed is the fourth ring of hell, a scorched Egyptian-themed wasteland full of strange technology, references to Greek mythology, and sand. Just a lot of sand. I'm not making the reference you want me to make. Act 1 had some pretty cool set pieces and visual gimmicks, but Act 2 just blows it all out of the goddamn water. This isn't even close to my favorite layer visually in Act 2, by the way, and already it's still more outstanding than any of Act 1's already visually striking settings. The barren landscape, the green flames, drawings on the walls depicting demons like Cerberus and Malicious Face, and the centerpiece of Greed itself, this massive pyramid beneath its blinding sun. That silhouette is a sight that just sticks out in your mind, man. The level design for Greed in particular is something that I need to show some special love towards. I'll do it by talking about the second level, which is my favorite in the entire game until further notice. Goddamn the Sun isn't the longest level in Ultrakill's catalog, but it's certainly one of the deepest when it comes to design. I'll pull a couple comparisons to the third level in Limbo, Halls of Sacred Remains. In that level, you spawn in front of a split-color door, which requires at least one of two colored keys to open. Next to the locked door are two other doors that will lead you in the key's directions, with a couple hidden secrets and shortcuts to be found. This is a pretty open level in its design. You can just grab one key and head out the door, or you can grab both and experience the entire level in the process. This sense of scale and freedom is significantly iterated upon in Goddamn the Sun. First off, it's not just a more open level in regards of how you can approach it, but it's also literally more open. You might not realize it at first because Ultrakill is very good at signposting the intended direction it wants you to go, but if you're clever, you can effectively skip over a lot of this level's encounters. Speedrunners should be right at home alongside the secret hunters. I'll also give some love to the level that comes after, A Shot in the Dark. It's an odd level in Ultrakill's lineup because of its gimmick. You grab this torch at the start of the level, using it to light up these plinths, which bring light to the dark and unlock doors and mechanisms. Despite that, it doesn't feel out of place, nor does it get in the way of the game's pace. Also, it's got one of the coolest arenas in the game, I'm just saying, like, this place rocks. Even if I get my ass kicked in it every time. Wait a minute, when is this? Keep out? Understood, have a good day. Moving on to Wrath. Wrath is my favorite layer in the game so far. Yes, it's because it's the water area, but listen, the water's also fucked up. You can't tell me fucked up water isn't cool. But seriously, all aesthetic bias aside, Wrath is an absolute joy to play through from beginning to end. It even opens with my favorite non-boss fight song in the entire game, the brilliant and awe-inspiring Deep Blue. I'm just saying, deciding to get a saxophonist on this track was nothing short of genius. The level it's from is also really good. It feels like another different take on 1-3 with the branching paths and multiple keys. It's a fun level, especially since these underwater physics don't get in the way of combat or traversal thanks to the newly added Whiplash grapple arm, which you get at the end of Greed. The Whiplash feels right at home in Ultrakill's arsenal. If you've played as Nero in Devil May Cry before, it's effectively similar to how Snatch works in those games. You can even use Enemy Step, but because healing in Ultrakill is based on damaging enemies in close range, the Whiplash had to be nerfed by capping your health with hard damage if you aren't already at full health. This was a very controversial change when it was introduced, but that's because the people complaining about it are, to put it lightly, babies. The amount of hard damage varies on your style rank. The higher it is, the less hard damage is introduced. If you reach Ultrakill rank, you can use the Whiplash with no penalty. So rather than viewing this as a nerf, it's more like incentive for you to improve and be creative with all of your weapons and skills. This is because Ultrakill is a good game with good design. It's also a game with really cool lore, as shown in Wrath's second level, which is probably my favorite in terms of art direction and visuals alone. Namely because of the fucked up water I mentioned earlier. You take damage if you fall inside, much like if you fall off a pit. That's because this is the river Styx after the apocalyptic end of humanity quite literally flooded its waters with the spirits of the damned, thus transforming from a river into an ocean.
brutal.
This level and the next also include many tributes to Gabrielle, who saved the ferrymen of Wrath after the flood of the ocean Styx. The husks show their gratitude and devotion by painting the angel in reverence. Not me though, fuck this dude. One of these ferrymen serves as the boss for this level after you get onto the boat. Normally I'd be really eager for violence, but I'm not feeling it right now, just let me in. This next level is super fun, not only because it does some fun things with its layout and it's also got some super tough enemy arenas, but this is also the level where you get the rocket launcher. A skill-based rocket launcher. For lore reasons. The payload only causes damage if it hits an enemy on impact. If it hits any other surface, it'll create a concussive blast that knocks enemies away and or in the air. If you hit an airborne enemy with a rocket, the explosion is bigger and will deal extra damage. This is how you put a fresh spin on a tried and true weapon archetype. Oh, you can also do this with the first variation. I know I keep saying it, but come on. This is video games. Also, there's a fucked up monster in the fucked up water. I'm telling you, Wrath is the best layer, come on! When you're done with Wrath, Act 2 concludes with Heresy, which... Good lord, just look at this place. It only took 6 distinct layers before we finally get something that looks like hell in a biblical sense. The doors, the walls, the pools of blood, like, holy fuck. This effectively serves the same purpose as Gluttony did. It tests your knowledge of the new mechanics and enemies introduced in Act 2 before you head to the Act's final boss. It's Gabriel, obviously, but I don't think I need to show you guys just how hard I bullied him again. Like, there's a line in the sand that has to be drawn. Hey, don't look at that. What are you, a cop?
You'll never be able to escape from this place.
So, this song that you are currently listening to is going to be a part of my very first EP. I'm really excited. I'm planning on offering this on Bandcamp for about $4. It's 4 tracks long, but I will be offering it maybe a week or two early in advance for my patrons. I know I've done this a lot, but I really do need to stress just how helpful Patreon is. Just over the past couple of months, I have had quite some significant wrenches thrown in the gears, as it were. Back in June, my headphones broke, so I had to get those replaced. That cost me about a few $100 just to get good ones that are suitable for the audio work that I do, so that was quite a hit to my financial situation. And then literally a week afterwards, my hard drive started failing on me, so I had to get another hard drive just to replace all of that and put everything that I could recover from my old hard drive onto the new one. So it's been quite a goddamn mess for me lately, so I really do need to thank all of the people that are supporting me on Patreon for quite literally keeping this channel afloat, because holy shit, I just can't catch a goddamn break, man. Yeah, that's that. I'm done rambling. Back to the video. I'm so sorry. I'm horrible at doing this unscripted. While putting this video together, I have to admit that out of all the things Act 2 has made me think about, it has me considering enemy design and combat encounters in a more thoughtful way than I usually would. Ultrakill might be one of the most intelligently designed action games I've played in a long time, and the new enemy additions in Act 2 made this fact very apparent to me. In particular, I'd like to deep dive into the Virtue, the Stalker, and the Sentry. Going in order of appearance, the Virtue stands out by being the first non-boss angel enemy. They're functionally similar to the Malicious Faces, down to being floating spherical enemies that attack you from a distance and can be enraged to amplify their attacks. The Virtues differ because their one and only attack is a beam of light that tracks your position before being cast. This beam also lingers for a couple seconds, meaning it can still hit if you run into it. Additionally, whereas the Malicious Face gets enraged upon when reaching low health, the Virtue gets enraged if you leave it alone for too long. When enraged, the beam will not only track your location, but it will also predict your position based on your movement, thus significantly increasing their threat level. Yeah, their attacks are easy to ignore at first, but do you want to risk enraging it by dealing with other potential threats first? It makes you think, it makes you consider what enemies are around you. I just knocked over a clothes hanger, cool. This is further compounded by the introduction of stalkers. They carry this large vial of sand that detonates upon death, and if the sand covers any nearby enemies, they will be unable to bleed. I'm sure you can see where I'm going with this because you're very intelligent. Because stalkers will explode no matter what, they are an instant priority. If you see one, if you hear one, you need to make a beeline towards them and knock them around using the explosions from the rocket launcher or the knuckle blaster, or pull them towards you or away from you with the whiplash or the magnets from the nail gun so they don't self-destruct near enemies. To put it in layman's terms, the sentries are my new favorite addition to the enemy roster because, in a game design sense, they kind of blend the mechanics of both of the previous enemies. The multiple different ways of dealing with stalkers, along with having high damaging attacks with long charge times like the Virtues. These tanky machines will walk around the arena and try to snipe half your health bar off from a distance using their high-powered rifles. However, they need to be on the ground so they can plant themselves in place and charge their attack. If you're perceptive enough, you can just dodge their shots. But it's much better to interrupt them, isn't it? Especially if you're also dealing with things like street cleaners and Virtues. You can interrupt their charge by knocking them aside using the knuckle blaster or a ground slam, or if you're precise, you can hit the antenna on their heads with a well-placed revolver shot. Or if you're feeling saucy, you could just parry the shot, I guess. I just think they're neat, okay? They're kinda cute. Why does this game make me think about game design so much? I just want to point at Soyjack at all the music references, but no! Ultrakill has to be the most engaging action game I've ever played, right next to Neo 2. You know what? Nah, I'm actually gonna end this video by telling you to play Ultrakill already. Like, if you haven't, what are you fucking waiting for, man? This is a once-in-a-lifetime video game that is already inspiring other developers to iterate and rip off its design. You don't need me to tell you that this game deserves all the praise it's received. It's just obvious at this point. This is, as of this video's release, an unfinished $25 video game that feels more complete and realized than a lot of games I've played in both the AAA and indie markets. If you're waiting for Ultrakill to be released in its entirety before you play it, look, I get it. I totally get it, but I'm just saying, it is gonna go up in price when Act 3 is finished, so unless you really want to give Hikita like $40 on launch, which is, again, a very fair stance to have, he deserves it, but I'm asking you, very nicely, to at least buy this game. Honestly, I'm not sure what else I could say about it at this point, even when Act 3 does eventually drop. The small previews of the violence layer we've received as of this video's upload date look remarkable, but again, I think there's only so many ways I could say this game is a masterpiece in every conceivable angle one could approach it from, but who knows. Maybe Act 3 will blow me away and suck me off in ways I can't even fathom, and then I'll be writing a full dissection on this game in its entirety. But for now, I really need to end this somewhere. I've rewritten and reformatted this script so many times just to try and feel like I'm doing Ultrakill justice, but I think the only way I can really do that is to tell you to play the game for yourself if you haven't. But if all of that hasn't convinced you yet, you could do this to Hikita himself if you really want to.
Okay, bye.